Thank you everyone for taking the time to be with us this evening and allowing us to present information about Central Coast Community Energy. My name is Jerry Strickland and I'm a key account specialist and a point of contact here at Central Coast Community Energy, also referred to as CCCE. We're joined tonight by Jenna Espinoza, also an energy account specialist, and Susan Davison, who is a key account specialist. They will be assisting with the Q&A and the chat. So please make sure to drop any questions you have in the Q&A. CCCE is a public agency whose role is to provide electricity, purchasing power to the Central Coast. I look forward to sharing about our organization with you and answering any of the questions you may have. Here's a general overview for how this evening is going to go. We are going to have our introductions, which we just did. Then we will really get into the presentation, and at the end, we will answer questions. Again, please use the Q&A feature to ask your questions. We are going to be using the chat feature to share information as we go through the presentation. So helpful links, various things that you should check out, and additional information and resources from our website. So please avoid putting extra chatter into the chat box because we want to keep that pretty clean for the links and resources that we are going to make available. We are going to have Jenna and Susan and myself moderating the Q&A at the end of the presentation. So please, 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 if you have questions, utilize that feature. Some general housekeeping. Central Coast Community Energy is committed to providing our solar and renewable customers with economic and environmental benefits. We thank you all for being early adopters in the effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, grow clean energy resources, and save yourself some money. This website is going to be most helpful for our existing customers. If you are enrolling in January, such as the City of Buellton, you're still welcome to participate in this webinar. But I also want to encourage you to join us on January 11th to view our enrolling customer webinar, which will answer specific questions about the enrollment process and timeline and the options that are available to you as a customer. So we're going to drop that link into the chat now. So again, this webinar is going to be most helpful for our solar customers. So please bear that in mind with the content that we review tonight. Central Coast Community Energy is a locally controlled public agency that provides community aggregation of electricity purchasing power. This service is known as a Community Choice Aggregation, or CCA. Oops. As a CCA, we procure power from clean and renewable sources on behalf of communities that want local control over their electricity resources and pricing. If you have a home or business in other parts of the Central Coast, you may have heard about us under our previous name, Monterey Bay Community Power. But as we expanded to communities across San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara County, we changed our name to more accurately reflect the diversity of the region that we serve. So a more in-depth look at what this presentation is really going to cover is who are we at Central Coast Community Energy? How does CCCE collaborate with the investor-owned utilities, PG&E and SoCal Edison? What is the goals of monthly NEM billing? Why are we moving to monthly NEM invoicing? How is Central Coast Community Energy currently billing our NEM customers? What is that going to look like in 2022? And what is that transition timeline? We'll also have a few slides with examples of bills. And then lastly, we're going to review some financial assistance programs and leave plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So kind of in the order of those questions, first, I'm going to review who we are at Central Coast Community Energy and what do community choice aggregators do. So Central Coast Community Energy is a public agency established under a joint powers agreement with the purpose of sourcing clean and renewable electricity. Community choice aggregation enables communities to purchase their own electricity and divert excess revenues to local community investment rather than shareholders of investor-owned utilities. We're altering how energy is sourced, rapidly transforming the energy sector, and engaging with communities along the way. Legislation supporting CCAs was approved in 2002, and the first community choice aggregator in California began in Marin County in 2010. The ongoing expansion of CCAs in the state demonstrates the success of this model. The first CCA began serving 40,000 customers in 2010. Now there are 23 CCAs serving 11 million customers in the state. We formed in 2018 with a commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions through local control and the implementation of innovative energy programs that facilitate the electrification of the transportation and built environments. We promote long-term electric rate stability and energy security while reducing reliance on fossil fuels and stimulating the economy. In Central Coast Community Energy's service area, we serve 33 jurisdictions made up of cities and counties across the Central Coast, which means we provide the electric generation service for these communities. From Santa Cruz to Santa Barbara County, our expanded geographic footprint will make us the largest CCA in California and the 5th largest by energy use. Assembly Bill 117 passed in 2002, which established CCAs. CCAs offer an opportunity for communities to join together to choose the source of their electricity. CCCE buys power for its collective ratepayers, and it is delivered over existing transmission lines as a cleaner, competitive alternative to your existing utility. A city or county joins Central Coast Community Energy to gain more control over its electricity needs and to provide economic and environmental benefits to the community. CCCE procures the energy, which is delivered via PG&E or Edison's transmission and distribution lines to you, the customer. CCCE is only one of 13 CCAs that collaborate with PG&E in this way. By 2021, 50% of customers in the state of California are served by CCAs. Revenue generated by Central Coast Community Energy stays local and helps keep electricity rates lower for our customers, while also funding energy programs. So again, all of this is done with a seamless experience for the customer, with only one single bill, no big change is experienced by the customer, but you still receive all the benefits of local generation, all of the revenue going back to your local community. As a public agency, we do not answer to shareholders, but instead are governed by 3 boards. The Public Policy Board makes large organizational decisions and is made up of elected officials from our member jurisdictions. The Operations Board focuses on financial and legal affairs and is made up of city and county administrators. Our Community Advisory Council is made up of local volunteers who want to make an impact on the communities we serve. And in accordance with the Brown Act, all of our meetings and organizational documents are public, and we encourage you to participate. You can find all of this information on our website. So here's what you can expect from Central Coast Community Energy. We support local choice. So participating communities have a choice and a voice when it comes to electricity service. For the first time ever, these communities get to choose whether they're going to be served by the investor-owned utility or a local option. 2, we reinvest in economic vitality. Our customers have received over $50 million in bill reductions and over $12 million in rebates, incentives, and grant programs. We provide local support. We have 2 regional offices and staff members, such as myself, dedicated to supporting our Central Coast communities. One of our offices is located in Monterey and the other is down in San Luis Obispo. We offer financial stability. We have received an A S&P financial rating. We value financial stability as it helps us provide stability and consistent rates to our customers. We were the first CCA ever to receive an A credit rating. So that really speaks to our fiscal responsibility and how well we are doing in providing a discount for our competitive rates for our customers, all of that savings, as well as putting all the revenue back into the communities. Lastly, we invest in clean energy. We're securing long-term purchasing contracts with renewable sources and are on track to source 100% of our energy from clean and renewable sources by 2030. So that means in 2030, all Central Coast Community Energy customers will be receiving 100% renewable energy from Santa Barbara all the way up to Santa Cruz County. A moment ago, I was talking about the various energy programs that we have. And this slide really highlights how broad those programs are. So the millions of dollars that go back and are reinvested in the local economy are from agricultural electrification programs where we're helping farmers purchase electric tractors or update their farming equipment for more efficient and also products that use less fossil fuel. We also, for all of our customers, have the electric vehicle incentive, which is our program, which is called Electrify Your Ride. We have hosted new construction electrification programs in the past and helped people rebuild their homes due to loss from wildfires. We also prioritize educating the public, and we have an electric education grant program. This year it launched as the Electric Education and Innovation Grant. So there are many, many ways in which you can benefit from Central Coast Community Energy on top of the competitive pricing that you are seeing. So again, this slide highlights our pathway to 100% clean and renewable energy. Central Coast Community Energy is committed to purchasing clean and renewable energy at competitive prices on behalf of our member agencies and customers. These contracts are long-term agreements, most of which are 15 years or longer, and started coming online providing power this past summer. This is how we're going to reach our goal of 100% clean and renewable energy, those long-term contracts with low competitive prices. Our 100% clean and pathway includes solar, wind, geothermal, small hydro, and biomass projects. Providing a little bit more information on the programs that you all as Central Coast Community Energy customers are eligible for. One, the Electrify Your Ride program. This really has 4 pathways. So if you want to electrify your vehicle, you could receive up to a $4,000 rebate after purchase for that. If you need to get charging equipment for your vehicle, this would provide funding for that. Maybe you need to upgrade your panel to support the charging. You could apply for that. And lastly, residential customers can apply for an e-bike incentive through this as well. So this is one program that you could apply to for essentially 4 different things. So you could receive thousands of dollars in rebates or after purchase incentives. A program which launched last week is our Electrification and Innovation Grant Program. So if you are a community member who works in education or workforce training, or maybe you are electrifying different parts of your business and need to educate your staff, this would be a program that would be applicable to you. So the Community Education and Workforce Track Grant funds total $400,000 and will provide individual grants up to $100,000. So we're especially interested in receiving proposals that focus on providing resources to underserved, disadvantaged, or at-promise communities. So if you have any ideas or know someone who could benefit from funding for these type of programs, definitely check out our website, or you can email the email programs@3ce.org. So now we're going to dive into the bulk of this presentation tonight, talking about the upcoming changes as we transition to monthly billing for our NEM customers. So people in the audience tonight range in all types of experience. Some are brand new NEM customers, and others of you were really early adopters, and so you know all of this. But we're going to start with the basics and go over some helpful definitions. One thing that we're going to say over and over again is NEM. That stands for Net Energy Metering. So that means you have an on-site solar energy system. Another acronym that we're going to use is IOU, and that stands for the investor-owned utility. So in your case, that could be PG&E or SoCal Edison, depending on where you are located within our service area. Third is CCA, Community Choice Aggregator. That is us at Central Coast Community Energy. We are the CCA. Net Surplus Compensation, NSC. Net User, this is an account that consumes more energy than is generated. And then opposite of that is a Net Generator, which is an account that produces more energy than they use on a monthly basis. So some overall numbers for our service area. We have 37,154 active customer service agreements. 35,000 of those are residential, 1,758 are commercial, and 335 are ag customers. If you are a wind, solar, or battery storage customer, you will be transitioning to monthly billing in January 2022. You've received notices in your Edison and PG&E bills about service with Central Coast Community Energy, and all of our NEM customers will, existing and new, shift to monthly billing in January. In the current NEM billing structure, you're billed annually for your electricity usage. The usage is documented each month, but payment is not required. Once a year, the annual usage is calculated and your account is trued up. This will continue in monthly billing. So this is our current NEM billing structure. So again, currently, in the way that we bill, you're billed annually for your electricity usage, but you are not required to pay for your usage each month. Instead, you have that once a year annual usage is calculated and your account is trued up. So again, that will continue in monthly billing. Since about 95% of our customers use more electricity in a month than they generate, this results in a one-time bill payment dependent upon your usage, which can be quite substantial. So if you are under generating every month for 12 months, that means at the end of the year, you are going to have a large true-up bill. So, and for those, that small percent that generates more than they use each year, they end up with a net surplus compensation credit that can be used against the next year's energy costs, or they could request a check from us if they hit the minimum. So if the credit is more than $200 for residential customers or more than $500 for commercial customers, that's when they could request that check for payout. So some of the general goals of the transition to monthly NEM billing is that it's going to eliminate large end of year true ups. It's going to improve the visibility of Central Coast Community Energy charges and your NEM credit balances, and adds some flexibility with those credits. But there are some things that I want to highlight that are staying the same. So your net energy metering agreement with PG&E or Edison is not changing. The early adopters, which may be under what is called NEM 1.0, can still remain with their legacy rates. The shift to monthly NEM billing isn't going to impact whether you're NEM 1.0 or 2.0. And lastly, net surplus compensation continues for customers who overgenerate. In 2022, the net surplus compensation will be halfway between retail and wholesale rates. So it's still going to be a very generous net surplus compensation rate. And in contrast, here's our 2022 billing structure. This is the monthly billing structure that's going to go into place January of 2022. If you use more electricity than you generate, you will have a payment due each month. This means you will not have that large accumulated charge due at the end of your annual true-up. If you overgenerate each month, there is no monthly payment due. The credit you generated that month will be applied to the next month's bill, or you'll, if it doesn't need to be applied to the bill, you'll just continue to accumulate the credits. At the end of the month, when you overgenerate, there's no payment due. Repeating myself. Whether you over or under generate, you'll still have an annual true up. Your account will transition to NEM monthly billing a month after the meter read date in January 2022. So in February, that's when you are going to see that on the bill. Many of our customers in commercial and ag are already on monthly billing. We also have some residential customers who have elected to be monthly billing already at the start or installation of their NEM system. So some of you may already be on monthly billing. And if that's the case, nothing other than your true up happening in January, you're gonna still go through the same monthly billing process, and that's gonna stay the same if you're currently on monthly billing. So just a general overview of your bill that you get each month. Generally 66%, 2/3 of all of the charges that you see are from transmission and distribution, whereas the charges from Central Coast Community Energy are roughly 33, 1/3% of the charges, and that's for the actual energy that you are using. So Central Coast Community Energy charges show up on the first page of your bill. You're still going to continue to receive one consolidated bill with our new monthly billing structure. The billing process is really going to stay the same. But what will change is what you see on the bill itself. So it's important to note that you're going to continue to see the utility's minimum monthly fee if you are not using enough electricity. So your utility, PG&E or SCE, handles your NEM transmission and distribution costs, thus the fee. So if you are not using energy and you're saying, hey, why am I still being charged this? It's because there is a fee that you pay to maintain the lines for the ability to transmit energy to your to your residents. And this again is the investor-owned utilities monthly charge. This is not related to Central Coast Community Energy. So here is a bill example. Page 1 for an under generator. The image to the left is an under generator on monthly bill or on annual billing, excuse me. So you can see on the bottom left-hand image, the smaller rectangle, it says Monterey Bay Community Power, our former moniker, electric generation charges, $0. However, this is an under generator, so that's kind of confusing in a sense that they used energy, but on the bill it says $0. An under generator on monthly billing, they're going to receive the charge for the energy that they used, and it's more clear what they've paid. And at the end of the 12 months, when it comes to their true up, they're not going to be bombarded with a large fee. And you know, that may seemingly come out of nowhere if they'd been looking at their bill each month and weren't sure what they were looking at. Here we have the Central Coast Community Energy page. And on this page, it's kind of a similar example as we saw on the last slide, but on the bottom left hand on the annual billing, it says $0 being charged for that month when they actually used energy. You can see that on this example, they had credits and their credits were being applied. And on the right, they were an under generator on monthly billing, and they're just going to pay a small fee. If they had credits, the credits would have been applied, so they wouldn't have to make a payment. But again, it's going to make a more seamless experience without having a large end of year true up. So for more information on net energy metering, if you want to learn more about the basics of net energy metering, you can go to our website, 3cenergy.org/NEM to learn more. And please use the Q&A feature for any questions you may have. We're going to get into more detailed and specific questions as we answer those Q&A submissions at the end of this webinar. Before we get to the webinar, I do want to review a couple rate assistance programs that you could qualify for. So the first is CARE and FARA. So we honor all of the discount programs that PG&E offers its customers. So if you are an income qualified household, a low income household, you could qualify for CARE or FARA and reduce your monthly energy bills up to 18% with FARA or up to 30% with CARE. You apply for these through Pacific Gas and Electric or SoCal and Edison. These both are state-run programs, so they're eligible for any electricity customer, regardless of which IOU they have. You may qualify for the medical baseline program or energy savings program. For medical baseline, if you have a critical life support device or another piece of medical equipment that requires energy, you could receive an incentive from PG&E as well. Also, SoCal and Edison offers this program. So you could be saving money if you do rely on a device like that. In response to the pandemic, the arrearage management plan was created to help people get a handle on their bills. Customers enrolled in AMP will receive forgiveness for 1/12 of their starting arrearage balance for every on-time payment of a current monthly bill with a maximum possible amount of $8,000 in total of forgiveness per 12-month period. Participants must make all 12 months of on-time payments to remain in the program. If a customer falls out of compliance, any amount previously forgiven is not forfeited. If a customer falls out of compliance, they must wait another 12 months before enrolling. So if you have been impacted by the pandemic, there are options available for you to help assist you in paying your bills. Lastly, we definitely want to highlight assistance from local nonprofits. So if you are having trouble paying your bills, there are many community organizations that can assist you in making your electricity bill payments. So definitely look into LIHEAP, the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, as well as these other local organizations that are available. The final real shout out is Central Coast Community Energy has a local small diverse vendor registry. So if you are located within our service area and own a small business or a service that you think Central Coast Community Energy could be utilizing your services, please go to this link and register. The goal of this vendor registry is to increase the economic benefit of CCCE to these organizations, aligning our supplier diversity goals and initiatives with our procurement policies. The CCCE Small and Local Supplier Registry is an essential first step designed to increase awareness around vendor opportunities and identify barriers to small and local businesses participating with us in our request for quotes and proposals. So stay connected with us. Follow our social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We have Facebook both in English and in Spanish. We have a wonderful call center that can answer any questions. We're going to have roughly 30 minutes to go over questions in just a second. But if we do not get to your question, we've got local representatives who can talk through really any questions you have as well.
Thanks so much, Jerry. We've got a lot of questions here and excited to jump in. So we have a lot of questions surrounding if people overproduce in the summer. Let's see, this person says, I significantly overproduce in the summer. Will my summer credits be provided at the same rate that I pay for winter?
Yes. So the net surplus compensation that you will receive is given per kilowatt. So regardless of overproducing in the summer or the winter, if you still have credits left at the end of the year, that would all be provided to you at that same net surplus compensation rate. If it surpasses the $200 residential threshold or the $500 threshold, you could request it by payout by check.
Right, and that's the $500 threshold is for our commercial customers. So someone can request a check if they have a net surplus compensation credit over those amounts. What if it's below that? What happens to their credit at the end of the year?
If your credit is below the threshold, don't worry, you don't lose it. It's going to be applied to your bill, so you can continue to utilize that credit or build that credit until you can request that check hit the threshold.
Okay, thank you so much. So
Jerry,
yes.
Customer asked, will the annual true-up month be the same as it is now for me?
So there are two parts of your true up. There is your electric generation true up, and that is going to be in January. So in January, your true up that is related to Central Coast Community Energy is going to happen in January, and from that point forward, always be in January. The portion that is going to stay the same is your transmission and distribution true up with Pacific Gas and Electric, and that is going to stay the same.
So Jerry, over the course of the year, will people end up paying more overall, being on monthly or annual billing?
No, it's really going to equal out to be about the same. So you're going to be trued up in January, and for many people that means they are going to have to make monthly payments until they get to the summer, when they can again overproduce using those longer days to accumulate more over generation kilowatts. However, if you really look at like the long term, it's going to equal out. So you paid January, February, March, but then you start accruing again. You would have had to pay for those months again, because again, 95% of our customers are under generators. So they would have made that payment at the end of their 12-month at their true up. But instead, because of this transition to monthly, we are stopping those large end of year accumulation of bills, and you're just going to pay those smaller fees every month.
Okay, thank you. We have a number of customers. I think I've kind of answered this throughout, but in case I missed one, a number of customers asking if they can choose between monthly or annual billing.
So all Central Coast Community Energy customers are transitioning to monthly billing. We are doing this because it's really going to provide added transparency on where your credits are going, how they're being applied, more flexibility so you can continue to accrue them. And once you hit that net surplus compensation payout threshold, you can request your check if you want, or leave it accumulating on your energy bill. So really that visibility and flexibility and just the transparency of monthly billing is what we are going for here at Central Coast Community Energy. So all Central Coast Community Energy customers will be on monthly billing starting in January, the NEM customers.
Thank you. Will the monthly credit be in dollars or kilowatt hours?
So your monthly credit is on your bill in dollars. But it is, if you request a check, it is paid out in net surplus compensation.
Great. Do credits ever expire?
No, your credits do not expire. They will continue to roll over. That is a benefit of monthly billing. You'll be able to see your credits accumulate, and then once you hit your threshold, you could request your check, or allow them to accumulate on if you prefer.
Thank you. We do have a couple people asking when we will have more information about our rates for 2022.
Right. So we expect to have more clarity. We've got a board meeting up tomorrow. So if you are interested, all of our meetings are public. You could join in on that meeting and see how our board votes for, finalizing our 2022 rates then. Jenna or Susan, if you wouldn't mind maybe dropping a link to our meetings and agenda resource from our website. So if people want to join that meeting, they can.
Thank you, Jerry. I'm just kind of trying to sort through. We have a lot of questions, a lot of participation this evening. I think you might have answered this, so if you did, you can just go quickly. Are people going to have two different true ups, one with their utility and one with us?
Yes, so you have always had two different true ups, but it just, before they were at the same time, because we had always mirrored the investor owned utility perfectly in the past. However, we see as we have our A credit rating, our rate stability and competitive pricing is continuing, we are noticing that our customers benefit even more as we establish ourselves a little bit more independently. So now, you are going to have your transmission and distribution true up with the IOU still, and that is going to be the current month that it is, and that is still going to be an annual true up. However, your generation portion is going to be in January. And then you'll see it on your February bill. And that is going to be every year starting 2022.
Thanks, Jerry. So will customers be compensated per kilowatt the same value across different seasons?
Yes. So your credits that you accumulate on your bill, I believe those are impacted by the season. So as you accumulate your credits, how much you underproduce those credits will vary by the season. But in terms of net surplus compensation, so if you hit that threshold, that will not vary.
Okay. Do credits roll over to new homeowners, or can they be settled in a house sale?
So if you are closing your account, I believe you still have to hit that threshold to settle. So again, to request net surplus compensation by check for residential customers, you have to hit that $200 minimum.
Thanks, Jerry. So with the NEM 3.0 coming, will people be able to retain their current rate tariff?
I believe so. I don't think, I don't want to speak 100% for certain, but the shifting from NEM 1.0 to 2.0, people were allowed to keep their legacy rates, but that's definitely something that I know is still being determined, and all the it's not 100% clear what NEM 3.0 is going to look like and be, so I don't want to speak to anything that's untrue and that I'm unsure of at this time.
And Jerry, the rate tariffs themselves are set by the local utilities, right? Mm-hmm. And then they're approved by the commission. Mm-hmm. And so any kind of shift from NEM.1 or 2 into 3 is also at the commission level. And so something that comes back, which we need to abide by. Mm-hmm. And so we are aware of it with our regulatory and policy team, and we watch it and pay attention to it. But the actual NEM 3.0 or anything that happens in this world is set by the commission. And just like time of use and the other things, that's something that we need to abide by.
Got it. Thank you, Susan. I see one question that's asking what our NSC, is it going to be at wholesale, retail, or a mixed rate? Our NSC is projected to be halfway between the wholesale and retail price. So that's still going to be a generous net surplus compensation rate.
We have a specific customer who asks, is there anyone we can call about our specific bill changing and how this would affect us? Because we actually want to be aware of any kind of time of use fees and other items on our bill that we didn't see in your example that you showed in the presentation. So how can we get some more information that will help us make a determination?
Yes, I'm going to go back one slide. This is our call center number 1-888-909-6227. They will be able to walk through your bills with you personally, go through what's going to change for you, and look at, they can see all of your account information and speak to you and your usage exactly. So thank you for asking that. And if your question is uber specific to you and your particular usage, because this is a general webinar for the public, I'm going to request that you also call that phone number so we don't spend time going into the nuances of one single person.
Jerry, we have another question.
Mhm.
If next year we're going to be billed a minimum monthly charge every month, then why is there going to be a true up still annually? How does this all unfold?
So that there's a little confusion in that statement. So the minimum monthly charge, you will not have it as long as you use, I'm not 100% for each investor-owned utility what the minimum kilowatt hour usage is, but if you're using more than 25, 50 kilowatt hours, you're hitting that minimum. That minimum kilowatt hour or minimum charge is only charged if you aren't hitting that. And that is not from Central Coast Community Energy. That is from PG&E or SoCal Edison. That is a charge that they mandate to maintain the lines for transmission and distribution. So apologies for any confusion on that, but that monthly charge is not Central Coast Community Energy. That is coming from the investor-owned utility.
So we seem to have, it's actually very confusing because we have a lot of customers on the questions on the topic. And so the annual true up still occurs with a local utility, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then the NSC is actually higher than the utility. Our rates are lower than the utility, okay? And so what happens is as the shift occurs in January for the NEM customers, this won't occur again. This happens just as the shift into service. And then what happens is you still have debits and credits and you shift into the monthly bill, but you end up with no large annual true-up bill and you still have all the other benefits. So nothing else changes.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Can you show an example of a bill where someone produced more than they used? And so we're going to actually post the book presentation on, right? We are going to post the recording, which is both video and audio, right, on our website. And so, Carolyn, you had did you have a more specific question? Because each individual, that's what's fun about these webinars is each individual is different. And so we'd like to understand a little bit more of what you're asking. But if you want to go back, Jerry, and show the bill of where someone produced more than they used, if that might help a bit.
Where someone who
produced more than they overgenerated, please.
Okay, yeah, I think. Oops, sorry. So we, unfortunately, in this deck, we do not have an over generator. We only had an under generator slide.
Well, that's because 95% of the customers are under generators. Okay.
Yep. So at this time, I'm sorry, we can't show that. But please, again, call our call center. And if you want to look at, if you are an over generator, you are one of the small percent and they can give you a handheld walkthrough of your bill.
Is there a particular phone number, actually you're showing it on the screen, that I can call if I wanted to get more information about my true-up process and how this would affect me? So you're showing it actually live on the screen. Thank you.
Someone asked, it's still confusing me. So credits on the bill are kilowatt hours with the associated dollars shown. Yes, so what you see on the bill is the credits that you've earned. However, the credits that you've earned, here's where it gets a little confusing. So once you hit that $200 threshold, that does not apply to that. Your net surplus compensation is not going to equal that same credit number, because we pay out at a net surplus compensation rate, which is halfway between wholesale and retail. And so that's a different value than if you just kept it as a credit on your bill. And I believe that's how it's always been. Net surplus compensation has always been a different rate.
Okay, so a clarification question. Your monthly payments, will they be higher per kilowatt than the credits? That's correct. So there's a little bit of confusion about how do you pay the monthly bills and how everybody's charged versus the NSC.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Will my monthly payments be higher than the credits? So there's thinking that the payments are going to be higher because those are retail rates. Okay. And so there's a little bit of confusion. Okay. What happens is, okay, so let's say we've trued up and it's March. Okay. And what happens is you have you have a charge on your bill for March. And then in April, you overgenerate. That credit on your bill at overgeneration shows up on the April bill and can be used against May. So that is retail for retail. What happens is that we kind of confuse NSC, which happens usually at the annual true up, with how do you pay your bill on a regular basis. And so most of us as solar customers are not used to seeing, that when I see on my bill that I'm paying for peak hours and such, and I see all this add up on my bill annually, that does not change. You're still going to get billed by PG&E or Edison. You're still going to see those dollars show up on the bill month by month by month. The NSC, okay, credits or check, depending on how much you overgenerate, is actually at the end. So typically that occurs at your annual true up, and for us, it'll occur in December. So it's kind of apples and oranges. We have to be very careful because we think that we're losing the credits, and you're not losing the credits. If you use that credit on the next month's bill, that's retail versus retail rate on the gen side of the bill. So let's be really clear. You're not being penalized by overgenerating and using the credit the next month.
Someone asked if there was a way to see a modeling of their bill with Central Coast Community Energy versus PG&E and what they would charge. There isn't a way to see a visual modeling yet. We do have some exciting things upcoming for the next year. We hope, have our fingers crossed for a public energy portal for you to potentially see those kinds of things. But until we get to that point, you can call our call center and they'd be able to give you a quick analysis of that. But I want to highlight something that Susan mentioned earlier, in that our generation charges are less than PG&E's, and our net surplus compensation rate is much higher than PG&E's. So for the bulk of our NEM customers, all of our NEM customers, there is benefit from being a Central Coast Community Energy customer.
So a customer asked, so basically your bill is going to monthly. You do not get a check, you get a credit, and then we pay you monthly. And so can you explain that? So I think there's a little bit of miscommunication again here. All right, so we're moving to monthly billing come February of next year, okay? And just so everybody understands, if you're a new customer in this territory and you happen to be getting a new system and you get an approval from the utility to go live, you're going to be placed in monthly. So this is not something that is new for any of us. It's just new for our customers who we've all been on legacy rates and things like that. So we're used to no change. And you get a check when NSC is calculated at the end of the year. You can get a check if you generate over $200, right? Or you can place it as a credit. If it's over 200, you can put it as a credit on your bill, or you can actually put all of it. If it's 150, put it as credit on your bill. At that point in time, you get the NSC, which is higher than the utility. You can use it on both sides of the bill. So what's happening is we're giving you flexibility to be able to use those credits as we move forward. And so it feels like we're losing a little bit when I have to actually kind of like get current on my energy in January. But what happens is during the course of the year, you still get all those summer credits, you get the higher NSC, and so you're not losing. It feels like it, but what happens at the end of the year, you're going to see that quite a few of you are actually going to be making money and in a better space than you were before this change occurred. And this is only happening once, right? So I'm answered that. Sorry.
Susan, there's a question here that's asking how much of our energy is currently clean and renewable. We spend a little bit of time talking about our pathway to 100%. And a question asker wants to know where are we at right now?
It's a great question. So we are at 31.1% as of 2020. So if you're curious about how the energy gets produced and purchased, it's something called a PCL, Power Content Label, one more acronym, Power Content Label. Every utility and CCA issues them. Ours is always posted on our website. They're always a year behind because you do it for the 2020, you send it to the commission, they approve it, then you post it. So what happens is we are moving towards 60% in 2025. So you're saying, well, if you're 30, how can you get there? That's because we, like a utility, procure energy in the market, and we currently have contracts in place and signed for 60% of our energy to be 100% renewable. No gas, no nuclear. And then what's happening is our goal is by 2030 to be 100% renewable. So what's going to happen is you put a renewable system on your house or your business, and you get and participate in the market. You were an early adopter. You also get to save energy and money. The same thing happens for us as a CCA. We have been procuring contracts for renewables at very low rates, and those rate reductions come back into the community. And so you're seeing the benefit of that. And by 2030, we are looking at having just one rate for 100% renewable for all our customers. That's our goal, that's our mission, and that's where we're aiming.
Nice. Thank you, Susan. I think we will have time for one more question. So let's try to find one that's asked a few times.
Right, I have one.
Okay.
So just to confirm, I have an annual true-up with PG&E, and the PG&E makes up 2/3 of my costs. So if there's still an annual true-up, could you explain a little bit how Gen and T&D and everything fits together?
Right. Yeah. So your energy bill has always been in two parts. Before Central Coast Community Energy was here, everything was bundled together. And that's why when community choice aggregators come on the scene, a lot of people are kind of confused. Like, what do you mean I'm still being served by the IOU, but you're here also now on my bill? You have always been charged in two portions. One, transmission and distribution, which relates to the lines and the poles and, any advancements that the utility makes, like undergrounding for resiliency or anything like that. That is all contained in transmission and distribution. And Central Coast Community Energy, we don't have any lines or poles. We only provide the electricity. So we work in partnership with the investor-owned utilities. We, through those long-term energy contracts, provide the energy at competitive rates to our customers. utilizing the investor-owned utilities lines for transmission and distribution. And they charge the customers for that to send the electricity to your home. They charge, about 2/3 of your electricity bill. The other 1/3, and what we are trying to provide at the most competitive and stable rates, is your electric generation. So our NEM customers have always had a true up for their transmission and distribution, as well as their electric generation. And so, essentially you're paid for the energy that you put back onto the grid as well, so through net surplus compensation or an on-bill credit. And so, and that comes in two parts. One, you're sending energy back through the grid, which is the transmission and distribution, as well as the energy itself. So, when you conceptualize it like that, of course you should, be receiving a true up for both portions of your bill as well.
All right, we are at 7:02. So we have been talking quite a bit. So you want to close out, Jerry and Jenna?
Yeah, sure. Thank you again, everyone, for participating. There were tons of questions that were asked this evening. And if we didn't get to your question, I apologize. We tried to answer the most commonly asked questions. But on the screen, you should see the call center number 1-888-909-6227. They can provide you with personal assistance with all of your questions. So please give them a call. They're open for normal business hours, Monday through Friday. So please reach out for assistance. Awesome. Well, thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry, for being our host. We appreciate it. Thank you, Jenna, for all the Q&A and stuff. We appreciate it, everybody. And thank you for joining us today. And we're going to be signing off.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.